Alright, so we're now going to do the posterior analysis. The benefits and the pros and cons of the posterior analysis is that it helps to find irregularities within the body, whether it be the shoulders, the hips, the knees, or the ankles. So now, firstly, when we started, we have to make sure the client is 10 centimeters away from the wall. So please come 10 centimeters away from the wall. Come a bit back, Alright, just there. Now we're going to look at his shoulders to see if there's any irregularities. So as you can see, his right shoulder is slightly higher than his left. His left is a bit low, right? His anterior, body seems to be just right. His neck, as you can see, because of the shoulders, is the slight difference. His neck is also a bit, the one side is higher than the other. His hips seem alright. His feet are facing outwards, so there's a bit of an irregularity. His knees, his left knee is slightly facing outwards. His right knee is in a perfect position. However, if you see his ankle, his foot is facing outwards. Please turn to the side for me. Alright, his back is in the perfect position, so there isn't too much arching. However, as you can see by his hip and lower back, he is moving a bit forward like this to keep his body up straight. So we're going to try and adjust that. Alright, hold it like that, so that way it improves a bit more. Everything else seems his right knee is a bit far behind than his left knee. His left knee is slightly inwards. Turn around for me, face your back facing me, thank you. Alright, as you can see again, like I mentioned before, the difference with the irregularities between the shoulders. As you can see, again, his legs are going outwards, both ones. However, the left leg is slightly inwards than the right. Same thing with the ankles that I mentioned before. Turn around to the other side again for me. Alright, everything alright like I mentioned before. Same thing, as you can see, he's leaning slightly forward, so there's irregularities within his ankles and within his hips. Alright, thank you very much.
Okay, this next test that we're going to do is called flexibility test for marathon runners. It's to test out the hip movement, the hip mobility, and the movement of it, and the tightness of the quads and hamstrings. Alright, so I'm going to ask you to please grab your right leg close to you while your back's up straight. I'm going to bring you down with me, slowly. Alright. Make sure that this leg, we want to make sure that this leg is nice and straight. As you can see, he's a bit tight here, and he's a bit tight underneath there, otherwise his leg will be pushed back a bit. Now we're going to measure with my dynamometer. This is my equipment, as well as the table. He is at a 75 centimeters. Alright, now I'm going to ask you to please come back up again. Raise the left foot now. Put it up close to you. I'm going to do the same thing, go down a bit. There, slowly. As you can see, the same thing here. His legs are very tight, so you also need a bit of a stretching. Is enough to relax. But now we're going to measure this side as well. Alright. This side is 65. So there is a difference between his right hip and his left hip. There's a 10 centimeter difference, meaning that there is something wrong. There may be something that is irregular within his hip movement and mobility. So thank you, and on to the next.
Alright, this next exercise that we're going to test and we're going to focus on is the functional shoulder test. The aim of this functional shoulder test is to see the rotation within the shoulder of the athlete and how far he can bring it back, and the alignment between the two knuckles, the middle knuckles. Alright, so my client, please rotate this arm backwards up to as far as you can go. And now do the same thing with this one, but bring it up forward. Now I'm going to measure it between the middle knuckle. Alright, so the distance between this is the right side and left side. So far is alright. Can I get you to do the other side as well? Let's switch it. Make sure you get that light rotation. So the aim of it is to make sure that the shoulders get the correct movement of it, so this exercise can be completed properly. So as you see, the distance between these ones is too far, so we will measure it the same. So his left shoulder is slightly longer than his right with the rotation. Because his age is between 23 and to an elite swimmer or an average swimmer, I will do the test to see how well his results are. Thank you very much. Alright, this next test that we're going to be doing is a power and strength test for a cricket player. We're going to, the aim and the pro and benefit of this exercise is to see how high the athlete can jump, because in cricket you are constantly running and you're jumping and you have to be not flat-footed but really to be able to explode. So that's what we're doing, using your body weight to explode up. Alright, so we're going to put him in a starting position where his half body's going to be on here, so just tap the wall, put the sticker there, we're going to start in position. Now, okay. Now we're going to jump. Come a bit forward, you're a bit too far. Okay, now jump. Now the aim is for him to jump just on top of that, but we're going to see how he does. Alright, jump. Okay, so he jumped up to here, which is quite a good distance for, as it was right underneath it, so the jump was very perfect. And we're going to measure it. So let's get the chair. So his jump is here. Alright. Jump. Measure. Very good distance. As you can see, it was right underneath the starting position, so he knows how to jump in line. It's Jeremy Dumbasi here again with another exercise for you guys. So we have the T test for soccer players to test agility and speed. So we start here at the first cone. The distance between the first cone and the middle cone is 10 meters. The distance between those two balloon cones over there, as you can see, is also 10 meters. But between the middle cone, it's 5 meters this side, 5 meters that side. So I'm going to demonstrate what my athlete's going to be doing. They're going to sprint forward, then they're going to side shuffle to the left, touch the cone, side shuffle to the right, touch the cone, side shuffle back to the middle, touch the cone in the middle, and they're going to back pedal back. I'm going to demonstrate it so my athlete can understand. Okay, now I'm going to time my athlete so that he can learn and understand how much he needs to improve every training session. When he comes back here, he needs to do better than the time we do now. Alright, so 3, 2, 1, let's go. Bend your knees, there we go, stay low, stay low, stay low, touch the cone, come back. Much better. Next exercise we're going to be doing is the Bronco test for rugby players. The Bronco test is to test the cardiovascular respiratory system of the rugby player, and to also the endurance and how much they can endure for a long distance. And as a rugby player, you're constantly running back and forth to tackle and to win the ball. So it's a lot of stop and go. So what my client's going to be doing now is he's going to jog to the first cone, jog back to the beginning, jog to the next cone, jog back, jog to the next cone, jog back, jog to the next cone, and sprint back to this cone. That way we're going to see how he feels at the end of it. Alright? So the pros of the Bronco is that it helps a player control their breathing and the momentum and the speed of it. The cons, and it also allows the player to understand that in rugby you do have a lot of stop and goes. When you tackle, you win the ball, so you get a T minus something, right? And you have to start again from a scrum off. That way you are prepared and have the energy to go again, stop and go again. The cons of this is that sometimes it can be have a negative impact on the player, as the player's mentality could be a downfall to his fatigueness. The equipment that we've used is measuring tape and cones. As you can see, my client is maintaining that breathing momentum and continue the same pace all the way till the end. Sprint! Sprint! Sprint, sprint, sprint! Don't stop!